You might have heard that the creator of The Biggest Loser has a new weight loss show in the works. And on this show, they will be featuring former contestants from The Biggest Loser who have since gained the weight back, and they're going to be trying to help them lose the weight again. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on this whole thing, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, let's get into this thing, because when I first heard about this show, not gonna lie, I got pretty fired up because, well, there are a lot of issues with this whole thing, and we're gonna go through that. But first, let's talk about why this is even happening in the first place. So if you look at the promo stuff that's out there for the show right now, it looks like one big thing they're trying to address is the Biggest Loser study that came out last year. Now, I don't know if this was the inspiration for the show, if like that study came out and they thought, oh, we could do this and this would be a show, or if this guy kind of always wanted to do another show and he saw this as his way to like get it in there and get people's attention. I don't really know, because what we've seen is that the show is going to have the former contestants for like the first episode, and that's kind of going to be the beginning, but then as it goes on, they're going to work with different groups of people, just general people out there, to try to help them lose weight too. Now, I did a whole video on this study when it first came out, so I will link that video for you if you want to get more details, get the full story on that. But the short version is they did this study with Biggest Loser contestants. So they took measurements before they started the show, they took measurements at the end of the show, and then they followed them for several years. They measured different things, hormones, metabolism, all kinds of stuff. And what they found with that study was that being on the show, like right after the show ended, their metabolisms were lower than would be expected for their weight, and their levels of a hormone called leptin were basically zero. It really wasn't much of it there at all. And leptin is the hormone that makes you feel full. And so they saw this right after the show ended, but then they wanted to follow them for several years and see how things changed, what happened. And what they found was that even years later, and even after some of these people had regained some or even all of the weight that they lost on the show, their metabolisms never got back up to where they would be expected to be for their weight, and their leptin levels recovered some, but they never got back to where they were before the show started. So this left these contestants with slower metabolisms, feeling hungrier, and a lot of them, you know, saying that they feel hungry all the time no matter what they do. So they're trying to eat very little food to try to maintain their weight loss or do a lot of exercise, and at the same time feeling ravenous all the time. And what this study really wanted to show was what the possible metabolic effects are of doing a weight loss regimen like you see on The Biggest Loser. And so the main message that I get from a study like that is that dieting can have some really serious effects on your body, your hormones, your metabolism, all that kind of stuff, and it can actually put you in a worse position than you were before the diet started. And I think it's important to at least know a little bit about that study to really understand what this new show is trying to do, because in the promo materials, they bring up this study like I mentioned, and they talk about how this study found, you know, that it was about biology and metabolism and hormones and these changes that happen within our bodies that we really can't control. And what the show, this new show, seems to want to say is that it's really not about any of that stuff. It's really just about our choices. And the former contestants that they're putting on this new show are all people who say that since leaving The Biggest Loser, they have returned to unhealthy habits. So it seems to me, you know, they're kind of picking out the people who fit the message and the narrative that they want to share, that they want to spread, and trying to act like it represents everyone. Now, this new show irritates me and honestly kind of makes me angry for a few different reasons. The first one is this whole idea that the biology stuff doesn't matter, that dieting doesn't have negative impacts. The reason that these former contestants are regaining weight is simply because they fell off the wagon. This completely disregards the findings of that Biggest Loser study and also what we know about dieting in general. It's not just this one study we have to show these negative impacts. That study is just a look at a very specific extreme type of dieting that we've all seen play out on national television. But we know that dieting in general has these impacts on metabolism and hormones, and our body, you know, fights back against dieting and makes adjustments to try to retain weight or regain weight. These are things that we already know happen. This Biggest Loser study just showed us an example of that. And what this does is it puts the blame on the people. It says they're just not dieting hard enough. And if they say that they are, then they're just liars. And if they really are, then they just need to do even more of it. And if you think about it, none of this stuff really makes sense, because if we know that dieting has all of these negative consequences, the metabolism changes, the hormone changes, all of that stuff, why would we think that the way to deal with that stuff is just to do more dieting? The dieting is the problem, it's not the solution. Another issue I have is that this new show is still focused on weight. It's all centered around this idea that weight is the most important indicator of health, and we have to get away from that. You can't just look at someone and know what their health is, you can't look at someone and know what their habits are. And what really matters when it comes to health is what we're actually doing, our actions. So if we're going to build healthy habits, we need to focus on those actions, the actual habits, and not the weight. We're all different shapes and sizes, we all look different, and smaller isn't automatically healthier. And when we put all the emphasis and the focus on weight, then it allows us to justify any action that results in weight loss, no matter how unhealthy. That's how we end up in a situation where it makes sense to do the things that they do on The Biggest Loser. Starving yourself, over-exercising, those aren't healthy habits, they're not healthy actions, but somehow if we can get those things to result in weight loss, then it makes us think that they're okay. Bottom line, when we focus on weight, it makes it incredibly difficult to actually build the healthy habits and make those healthy choices that do matter. And let me know in the comments, what do you think about this show and shows like it? I know we've talked about weight loss shows before, but we don't seem to have a shortage of them. They keep popping up, so maybe that means it's something that we still need to talk about. So let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are new here and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and healthy recipes, then make sure that you subscribe. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.